right, welcome in. We'll move to the box post game here live. Please smash the like button if you have not already. We'll give you some time to get in here, and we'll break it down. LSU takes the series and the game on Saturday, 5-3 over Milwaukee. Another interesting game, man, for the majority, dominated by the pitching staff. And then it got a little hairy there at the end. We'll get there. I kind of just, again, like yesterday, I want to take everything in order. We're obviously going to start with Cooper Moore because he was sensational, really, from jump. He made one bad pitch that Horn just absolutely laced out of the ballpark. The wind could have been blowing in 25 miles per hour, and that ball was getting out. Then it was up, and he put a good swing on it. You tip your hat to the kid. But outside of that, Cooper Moore was absolutely phenomenal. I thought he had all four pitches working for strikes. The fastball got up to 94 a couple times, really sat around 91 to 93, which is what you expect, but the strikeout numbers were phenomenal from Cooper Moore today. Just not something you should really expect to see a lot of from him. This is a guy who, in his career, and that's 2 seasons, has more innings pitched than strikeouts. It is normally a lot of hard contact, ground balls, use your defense, but today he had it working, and by it, I mean the changeup. He put a lot of guys away with that change piece, and a few with the fastball as well. And when he was able to freeze those young men with the fastball, that's when you know he's got them off balance. He's got them mixed up. So he really mixed well and just scattered 4 hits, didn't walk anybody, struck out 11. That's fantastic. Actually, in fact, LSU didn't walk anybody at all today, and just punched out. Oh man, I lost count now. 14 maybe? I don't know. I'll go back. We'll have it for you in the full recap of the series. But dominant stuff from Cooper Moore, just from jump. I mean, he was on the same pace actually as Case and Evans yesterday. Through the first 3 innings, 17. Thank you, Jason. 17 punch-outs. That's 2 days in a row they've punched out 17. That's 2 days in a row it hasn't felt like they've punched out 17. Very quietly, LSU running up their strikeout numbers yet again, and only 2 walks so far on the weekend. So that is very, very encouraging. Obviously, look, they're not going to walk 2 every weekend, right? Those numbers are going to increase. But back to what I was saying with Cooper Moore, he was on the same pace as Case and Evans through 3 innings, 7 punch-outs. So you're looking at 9 outs recorded, 7 of them strikeouts. He was just wildly efficient. I mean, look, I said this on the preview. I'll say it again. That was my first chance to actually get eyes on him in person. I missed every single one of his starts in the scrimmages, other than the cut-ups and the clips and the film when he signed. It's different in person, and he really shined. I commanded the zone, was in complete control, and the efficiency. He was able to get through 6. And, they're on a strict pitch count right now in week 1, and it didn't matter for Cooper Moore. He mowed down, and I'll tell you what, he got stronger too. I loved the bounce back. We mentioned the homer he gave up right off the jump, and again, a couple more people have joined, so it was the one pitch he made a mistake with, and the kid laced it, and you just give him credit. But the bounce back from that was awesome. He came back, got a couple punch-outs, and ended up going 2 more innings. And in the 6th, I was a little surprised they brought him out. His pitch count, as we said, it was in line, with where they want, and he was being super efficient. They bring him out. He gives up the leadoff double, and to watch him pitch around that and not allow that run to score, that's super encouraging going forward for him in the starting rotation. You can see why, and look, he fits perfectly at Saturday right now, but you can see why they would love to have him on a Sunday potentially if it falls into place with Case and Evans, if it falls into place with a guy like William Schmidt, because when he's got all 4 working, that curveball, as filthy as the changeup was, that slow curve that he had in the mid-70s, that thing was nasty, because he was able to throw that for a strike and get me over situations, and they never were able to adjust to it. I really like the arsenal from a guy like Cooper Moore. We've talked pitchability, and I think you're going to see that a little bit more as the season goes along. He's not going to go out there and strike out 11 very often. What he's going to do is not walk a lot of guys like he did today. In fact, 0, right? But That was a stellar debut. Stellar. And I was really pleased, really blown away with the stuff from Cooper Morgan. 4 pitches for strikes and just wild efficiency. When you look at LSU today, there you go. David says 80% strikes today. That tracks. I mean, that absolutely checks out. After the homer, again, as we said, was dominant, and that 6th inning pitch around the leadoff double. When at that point, it's a 2-1 game. Like, that's a huge moment in the ball game for him. You're showing the trust where you don't really extend guys past 6 innings normally past 5 innings normally on opening weekend, and you put him back out there because it's a tight game, and he's pitching great, and he responds. That's a character-building moment right there for him. LSU, while it wasn't plentiful offensively, they did a really nice job manufacturing runs today. And look, we're going to tip our hat to Eric Amick from Milwaukee. That is a really nice arm. He had LSU so off balance. And I'll tell you, when you see hitters of the caliber that LSU has standing there at the plate and being frozen by 88, 89 mile per hour fastballs, that tells you how well that young man out there was mixing. He had them completely fooled, and they just really were not ready for much at the plate, and tip your hat to him. But in the 3rd inning, LSU manufactured things very, very well. You had or was it Stanfield that reached first in the inning? You ended up with 2 on early. No, I'm sorry, it was Trent Carraway. That was when Trent Carraway had the leadoff single, and then Stanfield reached on the error, or he had the hit also and advanced on the error. So you ended up with a couple guys on, and Curiel comes up and delivers the sac fly, and then ultimately you're able to push the second run across with the RBI single from Jake Brown on the infield, and you go up 2-0. It was fun to watch them hit a day ago. It was fun to watch them pop 3 balls out of the park a day ago, but them in that 3rd inning really manufacture, not waste the leadoff base runner in Carraway, move the runners, take extra bases, understand situations where you could score the runner from 3rd with less than 2 outs. That's something that LSU has been very, very good at through 2 games this season. It's a long year. They'll have some struggles, I'm sure, but early in the year, they have been great situationally getting the runner home from 3rd with less than 2 outs, and we know how important that is in the game of baseball. So I loved the 3rd inning there. You keep mowing along. I loved the season debut for Maverick Rizzi. You want to see a little bit more efficiency. The counts got a little deep on him at times, but you saw him really display the full arsenal. The fastball was up to 98 a couple of times. Didn't really have great command of the slider in his 1st inning, but was able to pitch around that. Comes back out the 2nd, and the slider was much more firm, and he was much more crisp and much more efficient there in that 2nd. Man, all it's going to take for him is if he can get that massive 6'9" frame all in sync and repeat it, the stuff is plenty good enough. He just has to be able to get down the mound consistently. It's similar to what you saw from Chase Shores a year ago, and boy, when that happened, he was lethal for you down the stretch of the season and obviously on your run to a national championship. The same thing can happen for a guy like Maverick Rizzi, but I liked seeing him come out there and throw up the 2 zeros. And then look, in the 8th inning, you were able to put up a 3 spot, and boy, was that huge, because you end up winning the game by 2. Like, you win the game by 2 runs. Those 3 you had in the 8th were massive spots and really some clutch hits, and it started at the bottom of the order. Chris Stanfield, man, the hustle double that they gave him there, and I'm glad they did. The shortstop had to range plenty, and it kicked off his glove, but for Stanfield to have the wherewithal, the awareness to sit there and hustle and bust it to second base like he did, get himself in a scoring position for the top of the order, that was massive, and it's one of the reasons I love him at the bottom. And I love him at the 9 hole. That's where it comes into play with like a second leadoff guy, in a sense. You get him in that moment, hustle, speed, just put the ball in play, and he turns it into a double, and then you get to flip over to Curiel, Brown, and Milam. That can be really lethal for LSU. going forward. So you have the hustle double from Stanfield and then more hustle from Derek Curiel, who admittedly, look, it's been a little bit of a tough start for him at the plate. He'll be fine. He's going to hit. We know that. He's a machine. But lays down the perfect bunt just right in between first base and the pitcher to where nobody quite knows who can field it. He legs it out. That was massive. Obviously, Stephen Milam comes up with the big double to put 2 runs across and extend the lead 5-4. And then you ultimately get him around as well to make it 5-1. And that was huge. You get to I jumped ahead. I'm glad I talked about the 8th inning there because, again, manufacturing runs and big hits. And the double from Milam, it's another great swing from him early in this season from the right side, which is something we're looking for from Milam to really get those numbers up for him over the course of a full season. And so far, his 2 biggest hits in this series have both come from the right side. And you see that. They are intentionally having him face left-handed pitching, the other team, to switch him around to the right side, which has been his weaker side of the plate. And he's responding. And that's the way to get people to stop doing that. What I should have said before I got to the bottom of the 8th was the top of the 8th and Dax Dothie. LSU puts Ethan Plog in that big spot against the lefty in a 2-1 ball game. And Charlie Marion is their guy. We talked about him in the preview, and he absolutely pieced one to right field yesterday. He could swing it. And I thought Plog attacked him very, very well. It didn't work out for him. You tip your hat. It was a weak bouncer that beat the shift, and it gets through to right field. And ultimately, you end up pulling him and going to Dothie. But that's a spot you're going to continue to see Ethan Plog in. You see the delivery. It's very funky, sidearm, herky-jerky from the left side, very tough at bat for a left-handed hitter. You're going to see him more in that spot. But they go to Dax Dothie, and this was a really awesome moment, y'all. That's a young man who was pitching the last 2 seasons in Division II at Angelo State. And he comes in a 1-run game with runners on, needing an out in front of the most people he has probably ever seen at a baseball game, and responds and gets the punch out. And you saw the emotion, you heard the roar, really cool moment. Didn't work out for him in the 9th, but I was surprised they went to him in that spot, and they were rewarded. Really nice effort there from Dothie. You get to the 9th inning, again, doesn't really work out for him. Get the runner on. He goes to Zach Cowan. Cowan comes in, nobody out, man on, and strikeout. Looked great. And then the last 2 hitters he just couldn't put away. Gave up soft contact that just fell in with 2 strikes each time. They push across a couple runs. You go to Grant Fontenot, and Grant Fontenot comes in throwing 99 back-to-back pitches, mows him down, gets the out. That was an awesome spot for him. They very easily could have gone to a more experienced arm or somebody else. They go to Fontenot, who's had an incredible journey and is going to be a part of this thing, and you see that. Them putting him in that moment, and he comes in 99-99, gets the pop out, ends the ball game when, again, it's a 2-run game. You got runners on. That was huge, and hopefully he can build off that. And we talked about him this offseason plenty, where that's a guy they like, that's a guy they trust, that's a guy they think is really good, and you saw that. And I think watching that today, you're going to be more intrigued just to get out there and watch him pitch more and more. So overall, a really good day for LSU on the mound. They were dominant at times, a little bit iffy at others, and I thought they manufactured runs very, very well. It was nice to see them win a game in a different way. They were dominant yesterday and come from behind fashion, which is what we wanted to see. We wanted to see them be dominant. Today, they had to work for it a little bit more. Adversity is coming a little early for this team. It was interesting after the game yesterday to hear Jay Johnson say he didn't really think that game a day ago did much for their character, where he thought it was just veteran players stepping up and doing what they're supposed to do and talent winning out. Today, they battled through a little bit more adversity, and when they needed a big inning in the 8th, they got it. When they needed a big out, they were able to get it no matter who they went to, whether it was Dothie, whether it was Rizzi, whether it was Grant Fontenot at the end. So you've seen them now win 2 games in the season in 2 different ways, and that ultimately is the big takeaway for me here on this Saturday. That was super encouraging. That's about all I got on the game. If you'll have any questions, please drop them in the chat right now. If not, we'll knock this out a little early today. So questions. Please smash the like button if you have not already. Get subscribed. Please share. That's always greatly appreciated. All right, questions going once, going twice. Sold. Great win for the Tigers. We will be back with a full series recap on Sunday evening. Be on the lookout out Sunday evening. No live stream right after the game tomorrow, but I'm very excited to see William Schmidt take the mound. You talk about a big spot. This is a big moment for him to see if he can go and knock this thing out. Justin Hunt with a quick question at the buzzer. Who is left after Schmidt tomorrow? A lot of guys. You have not seen Marcos Paz. You have not seen Devin Sheeran. You have not seen Jaden Newt. You have not seen Santiago Garcia. You have not seen DJ Primo. There are a lot of arms, and I probably just left a few out. They have plenty left, and I'm really encouraged to see what William Schmidt can do tomorrow in this starting role. And I'll say it again. You might see them maybe yank him early, ease him in, let him end on a high note, and start to build that confidence, because he needs to be a big part of this thing for LSU as well. All right. Appreciate everybody tuning in. Again, like button, share, all of that, and be here next time for more on Moose at the Box.